Hey there, welcome to the video. My name is Randy Wolf and this is the Medicare Made Simple series. Today we're going to talk about understanding Medicare supplements. Some of the topics that I'm going to go over today, and really the format is just looking at common questions that I get and trying to answer those questions for you to hopefully kind of educate you and give you a better understanding. So we're going to talk about what a Medicare supplement is first. Well, what is Medigap? That's another name for a Medicare supplement. What do Medicare supplements cover? Who are Medicare supplements designed for? How much do Medicare supplements cost? There's obviously a lot of varying cost involved. Where can I compare Medicare supplements? When do I enroll in a Medicare supplement? How do I enroll in a Medicare supplement? Will having health issues cause me to be declined? After enrolling, what should I do each year? And then finally, how and why I should work with you. Basically, I'm going to, at the end, just kind of talk about some of the reasons why working with someone like myself will be beneficial for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. A quick overview of my background. I'd like to just tell you a little bit about myself so you kind of have an understanding of my background and where I come from. I've been helping people now for nearly 12 years with Medicare. Now, before that, I was a high school social studies teacher, head wrestling coach, and an assistant football coach. And did that for a while and started actually just sort of part-time helping people. Got my insurance license and started helping people with their Medicare and found that I really enjoyed it. I loved it. And so pushing 12 years now helping folks. I eventually got out of teaching and coaching so that I could focus full-time on helping people with their Medicare. I'm a graduate of the Citadel. I'm actively involved in the Alumni Association. I serve on the board of directors there. And my proudest accomplishment, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I love the Lord. I'm a Christian. And these are just some pictures here of my family. I'm very proud of them. Got one down there, my son, he's wrestling, and I was coaching with, I still volunteer coach his little youth program, and just doing this helps me. I love being able to still help people and be able to spend time with my family, which is very important to me. So as we get started here, the first question is, what is Medigap? Or what is a Medicare supplement? The term Medigap and Medicare supplement mean the same thing. Sometimes it's referred to as Medigap because supplements fill the gaps that Medicare doesn't cover. So a Medicare supplement is insurance. It's an insurance policy sold by a private company that can help you pay for some of the healthcare costs that original Medicare does not cover. This is things like co-payments, co-insurance, deductible. And as I mentioned before, sometimes it's called Medigap because if you think about it, it comes in and fills some of those coverage gaps that Medicare has. What do Medicare supplements cover? They cover things like co-payments, co-insurance, and deductibles. So the thing that they do not cover that's important to understand is it does not cover prescription drugs. There will be another video that you can check out that actually I talk more about prescription drug coverage, but again, that's a whole video, so I won't get into that. But Medicare supplements do not cover prescription drug coverage. At one point, years back, they did, but that has changed and it's no longer an option. They were actually standardized around 1992 to where all the plans covered the exact same thing, and at that point, they no longer had any that covered prescription drugs. On a side note, Medicare Advantage plans, which is something totally different, does cover prescription drugs. So we'll have another video that you can see that kind of talks about the differences between supplements and Advantage. But as far as Medicare supplements go, they do not cover prescription drug coverage, which is a surprise sometimes to people. So who are Medicare supplements designed for? Well, first of all, you have to be 65 years old in order to qualify for the supplement. You need to have Medicare Parts A and Parts B. You need to live in the service, the plan service area. So depending on where you live, there are different plan options available. Some companies are not in all 50 states, and so depending on where you are, that you have to live in that service area. And obviously it's for someone who is trying, they understand that Medicare alone leaves you exposed to some out-of-pocket costs. One of the things about having Medicare is there's no maximum out-of-pocket. So if you're looking at a 20% of an outpatient surgical procedure, for example, that can be quite costly. So that person who's looking to try to shelter some of the exposure that they would have in out-of-pocket cost is typically the type of person that's a great candidate for a Medicare supplement. How much do Medicare supplements cost? We get this question quite a bit, and rightfully so. Anytime you're looking at something, whether it be a car, a home, any type of product, cost comes up a lot. And there's several factors that are involved in determining what the cost of a supplement is. First of all, they look at typically age. They're going to look at your gender, and a lot of them are going to look at your tobacco usage, smoking, non-smoking, that sort of thing. It's important to understand that companies charge different premiums for the exact same plans. That's really important. I'm going to say it one more time again because it's important you understand this. With Medicare supplements, plans are standardized. So a G plan is the same with Blue Cross, with United of Omaha, Mutual of Omaha, United Healthcare, Humana, all the same. But the companies charge different premiums. And that is important because obviously you want to get a good rate with a reputable company. And so if you just look and say, you just research and look at one company, you may be paying drastically more than you should if that company is not competitive. So it's important to know that. There are three types of determinations of how premiums are determined. First of all, there's issue age, and this is the type of plan or the type of premium structure to where when you first enroll, it is a set premium. Now this is typically going to be a higher premium than attained age, which I'll talk about in a moment. But you will not get premium increases as you get older. But if you look at it and you compare it, typically what we see, issue age, you're usually going to pay more. And of course, over time, as a whole, you will see rates go up in a company-wide rate increases. And it's just, sometimes it's a good fit, sometimes it's not. Attained age is the most common. That's where you start out, and each year your premium will go up a little bit as you get older. And that's, again, the idea of that may be a little scary. But again, looking at the different companies, we really look closely at rate increase history. We look at financial stability of companies, that sort of thing. And so we help you really understand when you're starting out, companies, their track record of rate increases. But most of the companies out there are attained age is the way that they structure their premiums. And of course, every year it'll go up a little bit. Sometimes we'll see anywhere, from 2% to 3 or 4 or 5%. Then sometimes some companies will have large rate increases. There was a company a handful of years ago that was double digits, so that's not common. And if that happens, that's typically, we'll talk later about what to do once you've been enrolled. That's when you need to kind of reevaluate whether that company's still competitive. Finally, there's community rated. United Healthcare is an example of a community rated, and that's where the best way is to kind of describe it. You're in a banded based on when you're starting your Medicare Part B, your age, and it's banded together. And again, the most well-known company that does community rating is United Healthcare. So here are some actual examples. I feel like sometimes showing examples is a better way to kind of get a clear conceptual understanding. So this is 2 different locations. So I did one in Michigan, in Trenton, Michigan, and the other is in Columbia, South Carolina. Okay. If you notice, we'll start at the one in Michigan. Transamerica, and this is just by chance because of the area. Again, if we were in a different area, it may be a different company. Well, as you see, Columbia, Transamerica didn't show up as one of the more competitive ones. But in Trenton, Michigan, at age 65, Transamerica came in at $114.15, whereas Aetna was one of the ones on the higher end that came in at $137.86. So exact same coverage, same exact plan, but different premiums. But you'll notice then we look down here in Columbia, South Carolina, and Aetna, which falls under the Continental Life Insurance of Brentwood, but it's Aetna, Aetna comes in at $113.62, so it's one of the more competitive ones in South Carolina and Columbia. And I wanted to show you this because oftentimes it's great to talk to friends and neighbors. Well, neighbors are going to be in your same area, but it's great to talk to friends and family. But depending on where you are geographically, depending on your gender, depending on a lot of different factors like that, is going to really determine which company and rates are going to be best. The other thing is here, you notice too, is the age here. We did the top one is at age 65, the bottom one is at age 70. So even at 70, we're actually looking here in Columbia, South Carolina. The rate, it comes in at 110.12. That's with New Era. That actually is better at age 70 than it is in Trenton, Michigan at age 65. So those things come into play. In different parts of the country, premiums can really range depending on where you're located. But that's an actual, these are actual true rates that I just ran today just to kind of show you. So where can you compare Medicare supplement plans and companies, I should really say, because that's what, the plans are standardized, they're all the same, but companies is what you want to look at because that's what different companies are going to charge different premiums. The first thing you can do is you can contact insurance companies direct. That is certainly an option that you have. It's not what I would recommend, but it's an option. And you can literally just reach out to companies. If you're getting ready to turn 65, you're probably getting tons of mail as it is. But you can pick the phone up and reach out and call the companies and try to get information that way. It can be kind of tedious. And of course, the company is going to be really pushing their company. You can speak to an insurance agent, whether that's a local agent or someone that services all over the country. You can speak to an agent. And again, that's probably a little bit better than dealing with a company. But if you're dealing with an agent that only represents one company, they're only going to have one company to really talk to you about. And so they're not going to have in their portfolio of companies and products, they're not going to have a lot of companies to compare. So you're almost in that situation, you would really want to talk to multiple agents that represent different, this guy's Blue Cross, this guy's Humana. You really need to talk to multiple agents. The last way you can do it is by working with a broker, and that's someone like myself. The advantage of that is several things. Number one, a broker is going to represent all the major carriers and not going to be biased based on a company. Now, the second thing is a broker is going to have your best interest because that broker is not tied down with just one company. And the broker also knows that whenever down the road, let's say if there's a rate increase or anything like that, the broker is going to want to continue to look out for your best interest and shop for you to try to keep you as a client. And that's what we want to do. We want to make you happy. We want to do right by you and put your best interest in mind. And at the end of the day, we want to keep you as a client. So working with someone that's a broker, you're going to get that ability for long term, if they're doing their job and doing right. You're going to have somebody that's going to long term be looking out and trying to make sure that you maintain the best rates and the best plan. Inevitably, there will be rate increases. It just happens. And later in the video, I'll talk more about kind of when's a good time to potentially change and what you should do each year that you're on your plan. So when can you enroll in a Medicare supplement? The best time to enroll in a Medicare supplement is when you have your open enrollment period. This is the ideal time for you to enroll. This is the period that is 6 months, a 6-month window when you turn 65. So the month of and 5 months out, 6 months total is when you have your open enrollment period. Now, you actually don't want to wait until the month of. You can enroll several months, do the paperwork and your research and enroll months before that, but your coverage cannot start until obviously your 65th birthday. So that's going to be the best time for you to enroll is during that period of time. The reason it's the best time is because there are no health questions. You cannot be declined for any kind of health issue whatsoever. Okay. There's also a period called the guarantee issue period. And this would be a certain situation where, let's say, a I'll give you an example. This would be like if you moved from somewhere. So let's say you lived in another area and you moved to another state and that plan wasn't available, then you would get a guarantee issue period where they would have to accept you. Even with health issues, they still have to accept you. So that would be an example of a guarantee issue period that you could utilize. Or if a company, which doesn't really happen very often, but if a company went out of business, let's say, or something, an insurance company went under, or they stopped offering Medicare supplements, then you would be able to go to another plan and get a guarantee issue. The last time when you can enroll, obviously, is just anytime outside of the enrollment period. There's a misconception with Medicare supplements that you have to enroll between October and December each year, and it's very confusing. That is actually the annual enrollment period, and that pertains to Medicare Part D and also Medicare Advantage plans. So that period doesn't apply to Medicare supplements. So you can change a supplement at any time. If you get on a supplement and you wanted to change, 3 months later, you could change. But outside of that open enrollment period, you would be underwritten. And so that's important, and that's why if you get set up during the open enrollment, you don't have to worry. Even if you're in good health, things can change, and so that's why it's a really good idea to be sure to set up during that open enrollment. We typically, it varies. Some people kind of wait to the last minute, but we see people oftentimes setting up their plan anywhere from 4 to 5 months to 3 to 5 months prior to turning 65 is what we see a lot of times. But again, we have folks that sometimes wait to the last minute and don't do that. Another thing sometimes that happens too is you may continue working and you may be under your employer plan, and so if that happens, you would be able to enroll without underwriting in most of the plans, not Plan G, but most of the other plans after you finished your employer coverage, and let's say you retired and then you started your Part B. That would be an example of when you could enroll in a plan then without underwriting, except for Plan G. Plan G is the only time you can enroll in Plan G without underwriting is that window, which is your open enrollment period, that 6-month window. How can you enroll in a Medicare supplement? This kind of goes back to comparing companies a minute ago, so I won't beat a dead horse here, but you can enroll direct through the company. So you can call a company's 800 number. You can enroll with an agent, or you can enroll with a broker. I'll tell you kind of, if you enroll direct with a company, a lot of times people have this misconception, and I understand why, because it's going right to the source is better than you think, and so you're like, well, if I go through the direct to the company, maybe I can get a better deal. That's not the case. You do not pay more money in premium or anything or fees by utilizing an agent or utilizing a broker. But if you do enroll direct with the company, they're never going to tell you, hey, we're no longer competitive. Maybe you should shop this thing around. We've had a few rate increases. We just had a 10% rate increase, and we're really not competitive. You should probably take a look at some other options. That's never going to happen. If you work with a broker, that's going to happen. We're going to say, hey, just had a big rate increase. We need to take a look at some other options. Or maybe you get a rate increase in the mail and you call, hey, just had a big rate increase. Can you reshop it for me? Absolutely. And we do that. We do that for some folks. We do it yearly. For others, they don't want to really be pestered, and they say, I'll call you if anything changes, if I get a rate increase. And maybe 3, 4, 5 years later, we get a phone call and, hey, just had a big rate increase. Can you run the numbers again for me? And we can do that. So that's the advantage of dealing with a broker. And again, because of the nature, we're going to do the right thing. But in addition to that, because of the nature of the competitiveness, we want to make sure that we keep you happy and keep you as a client. And so we're going to make sure that we're trying to get you the best rate and the best company, because we know if we don't, there may be someone else out there that's going to come and try to move you. And so working with a broker, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, and I may be a little biased because I am one, but is the right way to go, because again, you're going to get that ongoing service, and you're going to know if your current company is not competitive, you're going to know. So, will having health issues cause you to be declined? And this is something I covered a moment ago. It really depends on when you enroll. If you enroll during the open enrollment, the good news is it will not. You do not have to worry about any kind of health questions. In fact, we mark a big X on the health questions of the application because you don't have to answer them. Same thing with the guarantee enrollment period. There's no health questions there. Outside of the open enrollment period, you could be declined for health issues. Now, one thing to understand is, and especially doing this and dealing with people on a regular basis, a lot of people have certain health issues. Excuse me. A lot of people have certain health issues, and so that if you have some minor things, if you have hypertension, even diabetes and things like that, don't panic. That doesn't mean that you're going to be declined. On the other hand, if it's something serious, or if it's been something serious that's happened within the last year, those are the types of things that can cause you to be declined. And so it's important that when you enroll during that open enrollment period, it's important that you look at not just the price tag, but also the company and their rate history and their stability. Those are things, there are many times where we'll have a company and it may be a difference of $3 or $4 in premium, and we will recommend that person do the one that's $3 or $4 higher per month. At the end of the day, it's your choice, but we'll say, hey, this company here, it's $3.70 higher, but here's why we recommend it. Here's their track record. Here's their financial ratings. Here's their rate increase history. Those are all things that we look at, and it's really important that you look at the big picture when you're enrolling in a plan. So after you get enrolled, what should you do? Do you have to do anything? And again, as I mentioned earlier, during the annual enrollment period, October 15th through December the 7th, you do not have to do anything regarding your Medicare supplement. You'll see a lot of TV commercials. They'll start cranking them out usually around August, September, and you'll see a bunch of TV commercials, but you don't have to do anything regarding a Medicare supplement. That is, again, designed for changing if you would like to change your Medicare Part D drug plan, or if you have a Medicare Advantage, potentially changing your Medicare Advantage plan. But once you get enrolled in a supplement, you still don't want to just put it on autopilot. So again, you do want to kind of keep up and take a look each year at if there's any kind of substantial rate increases. If you have anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5% rate increase, and you're at a attained age, that's not outside the norm. On the other hand, if you have 8, 9, 10, 15% rate increase, then that means that they've had a substantial, usually it deals with claims, so they're looking at basically they paid out a lot of claims overall, and they had a rate increase to offset that. They can't single you out once you're a member and say, you had a bunch of claims this year, so we're going to raise the rates on you substantially. They cannot do that. But they can, as a whole, look at the year, and they do as a whole look at the year, and they say, okay, as a company, we paid out this many claims. That was more than we anticipated. We're gonna adjust the rates more to offset that. Sometimes they don't increase at all, so there's a chance that can happen sometimes too. It's not often, but that can happen. So it's a good idea to review your plan annually. And again, if you work with a broker like myself, that's part of what we advocate and we do. Again, sometimes people don't want to do that, and that's fine. You can basically just call us if you need us, so to speak, and if you notice you have a big rate increase, then of course pick the phone up and call. But it's not a bad idea to take a look each year and just to kind of see and have a baseline of understanding of, okay, last year we were here, this year we're here. Does that seem reasonable, or is that excessive? And then if it's something that's excessive, we can certainly reshop and look at other options for you. So finally, the last kind of part here, and I'd ask you to stick around for just a few more minutes, is how and why work with me personally. As I mentioned before, I've been doing this for almost 12 years now, and I always put my clients first. I always want to look out for your best interest and make sure that you're happy with your plan. Make sure we're doing what's in your best interest. I've got a proven track record with our clients, and I put just a couple of little testimonials down there. But proven track record. represent all of the major companies. So again, I'm not going to be biased on when we're looking at companies, one company over another. And in fact, we see that all the time where there's companies that we'll be talking with someone in one state, and there's a particular company that's really, really strong, really competitive, and then talk to a person in the next conversation and they're in a different state, and maybe that company's totally out of the game, not competitive. And so being that we represent all the companies, that's a really important point. There are a couple of ways that typically work best, that are most conducive. Being if you're someone that's getting ready to turn 65, there's a good chance you may still work. And so if that's the case, sometimes scheduling a call with me is the best way to do it. You can do that if you go to QuoteMyMedicare.org/contact, or you can just go to the regular page and click on contact. There, it'll actually, you have access to my calendar, my appointment book, and you can actually go on there and schedule a time. And if you're working, that means maybe you need to talk to me in the evening, or maybe you need to talk to me on a Saturday. I typically do not work on Sunday, but evenings, Saturday, and so you can go in there and schedule a call with me that way. That's a great way. You can email me. There's my email address on there, rwolf@PetMediUnited.org. Feel free to email me if that works better for you. You can do that. You certainly can call us. Call me anytime. 888-767-6185 is our toll-free line. You can feel free to call me. We're not a huge call center type of operation. That's not what we're about. It's myself. I have an office manager and another actually broker that works with us. His name's Chris. So the nice thing about working with us, again, you're gonna be able to get me on the phone. It's not like you're gonna talk to someone every different time that you call. You can also, with social media these days, you can go on our Facebook page at QuoteMyMedicare, and you can message me that way. There's a way to message us actually on the website. Our website, you can do that too. So there's the opportunity to do that. So I encourage you, as you get closer, even if you're 10 months out, 12 months out, it's always good to just get the information you need. So I encourage you to reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you, answer any questions you may have that we haven't covered today. And I just appreciate you watching the video. I encourage you, if you found value in this video, it takes 2 seconds to do this. If you found value in the video, please make sure you like it. Click the like button, and also subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, QuoteMyMedicare.org. We put out videos quite often, and so you'll be notified when that happens. And if you're on Facebook, be sure to follow our page. It's facebook.com/QuoteMyMedicare. That way you can, whenever we put on their updates, you'll be able to see the updates. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.